Hey lads, so today I'm going to do a PvP guide for beginners. So just some steps to improve your own PvP gameplay. I'm by no means an expert. There's plenty of people that would beat me, but I feel like I'm half decent, and these kind of tips and guides are for those lower to mediocre players, people that are struggling, or people that just want to improve their gameplay. So let's get into it. First step is to have a plan. So I've drawn up a little plan of what I like to do. Those of you who've seen me play Neville, you'll know the plan I like to do. But basically, send a full squad here and hold them at this point. I don't mind if they cap it. Send one of the riflemen over to cap this point. Send a couple of the auxiliary detachments, so just like the random riflemen out here, just for vision. And send an MG team and a couple riflemen out here. If I get there unopposed, I'll swing them around and sit them here to put pressure on the point. That's my game plan. If they push to the hill, all I do is I push through and go here. All it is, so that's a little bit of a game plan. You've got to have an idea of what you're going to do if it goes wrong. So that's why I kind of have that other little plan if things go, like if they hit the hill. But I'll show you what it looks like in action. So sending a squad there to the middle. I'm bringing old mate out here to the cap that point. Sending a rifleman out here. Sending another rifleman out here. And over here we send our MG team. And just a couple riflemen to back him up. A lot of infantry at the start, I know, but infantry is king in Gates of Hell PvP early on. You know, if you get a tank or something out and I destroy it, you've basically screwed yourself with the payback system for, the next few minutes. And I'll be able to pump out way more units and just overwhelm you. So we'll get to that later on in the steps, but you can see how it's going here. Sending my squad up here. He's capping the middle and that, so kind of what we want. It just means these guys are going to get there completely unopposed. So we get them over. He's got a truck. So exactly what I mean. You don't really want to do this, because I can just get my grenadier dude, throw a few grenade rifles at him, and he's screwed. So that's the idea. I don't have my keybinds done, but you throw some smoke there, cover that. I'm capping. He screwed himself a little there. These guys have come out. And this unit will walk around here completely unopposed. So that's the idea. And you get them there. So that's step one, have a plan. Now, step two, spread your infantry and cover those flanks. Try to get map control. So basically, what that means is spread your infantry as much as you can at the start. Obviously not too much, because then your squad will get slaughtered, but send your main squad somewhere. Then try and send out a few, riflemen, kind of spread them out along the flanks. Just got the crappy squad. I'm going to spread them out around here. Maybe chuck one of these lads. Here. But basically, as you can see, I'm creating a line across my map, which tells me, where the enemy's coming from, what they're planning. I can sit him out here just to get more map control. And where they don't push, I can move. So I could, if I successfully hold them off in the middle here, in 10 MP I get another squad. What can I do with that squad? Well, I can do two things. I can reinforce this and make a push. So I can make a push there, reinforce it, send the boys up there and cement my position there. Or I can do something probably even more sneaky, and I can send that squad out here and push them out of the south and basically put my front line along here. And what that'll do is that'll restrict his movement, so that gives me map control. Essentially, I've got map control from the east to the south if I were to push a squad out here. Very important not to overextend yourself, because, send out one of these. If he were to send that out here, you'd probably wipe them. I could smoke it out, but that's the idea. Get map control, spread your units out, and another reason why I like to focus on infantry is I can do this. He's wasted all his money on a car. and I'm just pumping out squads. So, step 2, spread your infantry, cover those flanks. Try to get map control. Right, so step 3 is to use your unit's strengths and place accordingly. So, for instance, with an infantry squad, obviously, you don't want your MGs right on the front line. So what you do, you separate him, sit him somewhere where he can provide support without being right at the front line. You don't want him to get killed. It's a very important unit, especially in the German squads. All right, you push your rifles to a point where they're kind of mid-range, so they can use I think they get 120 meters compared to the SMG, which is 80. So you want them to use their range and really get shots as the enemy's pushing over. Your SMGs, you'd probably just push straight in. They're obviously perfect for close range combat. So you'd push the SMGs in. Another SMG, you might push him in with the Panzerfaust. Other things you might do is the Rifle Grenadier, you might set him a little bit back as well, separate, so you can use him against AI vehicles. That's the general idea. So use their strengths. Obviously, with things like mortars, you probably sit them back here. Infantry guns up here. For the sake of argument, I'll grab a vehicle, whether it's got a machine gun or a cannon. With the vehicles, again, you don't want to be sitting them on the front line. You want to kind of have them providing fire support at the rear lines. If they get 2 or 3 kills before you pull it out, that's still a win. Because, what's the alternative? You push on, cause a bit of chaos for 30 seconds, you might get 5, 6 kills, but they can afford to wipe out 2 squads to take out my armoured car, and they still earn the points back quicker. So that's another thing to be aware of. With your units like this, keep them at the back of the lines and keep them safe. As soon as you're done using them, pull them back out of harm's way. If you need to reinforce a position like this, you can bring him over and he can provide support. So that's the idea there. Step 3, use your unit's strengths and place accordingly. Now, step 4, don't overextend yourself. Wait for support. So I've made a push on this point. With the whole squad. They've reinforced it. I've got nothing here to support these guys and reinforce this point. It's all empty here. So what's going to happen? It's going to push me out of that point. I'm losing this point, so I have to reinforce that. So send them there. And these guys just get crapped on. And all of a sudden, I'm back to 0, basically. I'm now losing both points. So very important, send up a machine gun with them, an infantry gun, an armoured car, tank, whatever. Just send something up with them if you're going to make a push onto an objective, because all that's going to happen is you'll hold it for a minute and they'll kick you straight back out if you can't reinforce that point. So we'll see it again on the other side. So as you can see, he's pushed my objective. By the looks of it, he has nothing supporting it. I'll bring something up to support. Throw me smokes. And as you can see, I'm now starting to, in a second, recap, because he's got nothing there to support that push. He's basically wasted a squad by pushing this objective, as I did up here. So, step 4, don't overextend yourself. Wait for support. So, brings us to step 5. And that step is infantry, infantry, infantry. So basically, I accidentally pressed control on that dude, I had it paused. Basically, you don't need that tank. Early game, the best thing to do is just pump out infantry and get a really good front line happening. So, as you can see, the game has just started, and look at what I've got. I've got a whole squad. I've got an LMG detachment heading left with a couple riflemen. I've got a scout squad heading into the middle to hold that, or at least hold them back while I push these objectives. So basically, he could bring out a Jeep right now, which Jeeps aren't that hard to kill. All I got to do is smoke out and just bide my time while an AT detachment pulls up. But I could get another scout section. I can almost get another rifle squad. Whereas if I'd grabbed if I'd saved, maybe grabbed a BA-10 or the Ford 3-ton truck, look how much they cost. 245 MP, 250 compared to, you know, I can pump out 2 rifle squads for that. Or you can get anti-tank squads, you know, 2 of them for that. Like, that's the thing. So don't rush for the tank. Really set yourself up infantry-wise first before you push for the tanks, and you'll have a lot easier time winning those matches. So step 5, infantry, infantry, infantry. You don't need that tank. And also, before we go, make sure you're grabbing your officer, because as you can see there, if you look around my mouse, minus 25 CP. So if you look at my CP here, it's just got down to 44. So that means I can bring in more units just because I have him on the field. So something to make note of. Bring your officers in when you can, or when you feel like you need them, and really spread out that infantry. But look already, I've capped that, holding them here, capping that. That's generally what will happen if you pump out infantry. And as Finland, you can pump out lots of infantry. So yeah, step 5, infantry, infantry, infantry. Step 6, don't panic, use smokes, find cover or a retreat. So, see he's got the Dushka truck. So what I'm doing here is I've blocked out his sight, and now I'm moving these guys away. So I'll bring these guys back, let's say, back here, because they've got at least, you know, the bushes they can hide in. And I've just protected myself from that truck and bought myself time to reinforce with, you know, a truck of my own. I could bring in the armoured car. Same thing. He's hitting me, so I throw a bunch of smokes, and that buys me time to reinforce and deal with that. Or I could just let them sit there in the smoke, get slaughtered. The other choice you have is to try and rush them back like this, and they'll just get slaughtered trying to run away. He will still see certain units through the smoke, but you protect most of your squad. So step 6, don't panic, use smokes, find cover or retreat. So step 7, don't buy anything without a plan on how you use it. So what I've done is I've just captured this objective. I bought a mortar up to provide defensive cover around here. That's why I bought that. Pretty obvious. The L62. I brought that in so I could switch between points and hold off enemy advances. So enemies coming over here, which I just came from, but I'll send him over here and he can cover that and hold them off, hopefully. Alternatively, I could have brought in a command squad, but what would that do for me? I've got infantry everywhere. You know, if he had a big tank, I probably wouldn't bother bringing out the Landswerk or P50 because he'd just destroy him, so it'd be useless. I'd be bringing in an AT detachment. So it's important not to get overexcited and bring out things like, let's say this, without knowing how you're going to use them or being able to use them. So don't get overexcited, get what you want and have a plan with them. Step 7, don't buy anything without a plan on how you use it. Now, step 8, attack, attack, attack. If bogged down, hold the line and attack elsewhere. So as you can see, they pushed in pretty hard here. They've got, you know, a car there, armored car. They're pretty well pushing me out of this position. I could send a squad here, reinforce it, throw them into the meat grinder, and, you know, that armored car could probably wipe them. Or I can attack here, take the pressure off, because he will have to send his next squad to this objective. That allows me to then reinforce this once I've dealt with the armored car. So, say do that. Another thing I can do is push up here as well. So I'm attacking in other places that he isn't. While he's focused on the middle, I'm extending my push to the south and I'm pushing out to the east. He's obviously now attacking my point. Stupid AI, but a player generally won't do that in PvP. Usually they'll probably sit that armored car back here, not too close, because I could very easily just push that and destroy that armored car. It's not very hard. But that's a general idea. Bog down somewhere, push somewhere else to alleviate the pressure. So they've alleviated that. These boys have come out here. They're kind of getting slaughtered just because I'm not really dealing with it properly, but you get the gist. So step 8, attack, attack, attack. If bogged down, hold the line and attack elsewhere. Now, step 9 is to thin out the enemy before the assault. So with snipers, mortars, tanks, whatever. So get them off hold fire. Just playing a random game, so I'm not really worrying about what's happening everywhere else. But essentially what I'm going to do now is I'm going to thin out the objective a little. So make sure there's nothing around here. pretty safe, so I'll send him up. Got this shooting all these guys here, covering the point. Got our squad here ready to make that push. And I'm sending the sniper out to have a gander. So the point's already been thinned out a little bit. He was sitting there before, but he's there. We can see it's clear now, so the point's been thinned out. Thank you to our beautiful infantry gun, 7.5 LEIG, amazing weapon. And now we can make an assault. We know that's clear. We've thinned out the lines. The assault gun has, done a lot of damage here. The sniper's slowly finishing them off. And now we know that our boys can push. Not the best example. Usually in a PvP game, you'll have a point that's sitting like this. And what you'll do if I was, let's say, the enemy, I'd bring a sniper up to here. Sniper will get, a kill every 30 seconds or so. Slowly kind of deplete the enemies on the point. Once you're at a point where you're at, let's say, a 2-to-1 advantage, and you bought, let's say, an infantry gun up or a mortar, you can make that push, and you know that you've thinned out that objective. Whereas if I didn't, bring the sniper up to have a look in the infantry gun, and I just threw that squad on there, it'll either get slaughtered trying to get there, or we'll cap it and get pushed straight back off because we've, lost most of our units trying to cap the stupid thing. So very important to thin out the enemy before you attack. Don't attack blind. These guys are awesome. When the game's going on for a little bit, let's say it's got like 10 minutes, try and get one of these out because they are awesome for thinning out the objectives. I could send him over here. Looks like they got nothing there really. And he could slowly thin that out while I push. So before I push. So it's very important. So step 9, thin out the enemy before the assault. Now, step 10, super important. Use mouse keybinds. So those the mouses you can get with the little buttons, get yourself one of those. PvP in strategy games can be very competitive, and a lot of the best players will have buttons that have been keybinded on their mouse. Now, in Gates of Hell, this is useful because you can pump out a massive amount of smoke grenades. So I'm just pressing a button on my mouse, then left click. They'll pump out a bunch of smoke grenades, and I can do the same with normal grenades. Then what I can do is once I've thrown the smoke grenades, so bear with me for a second. They're doing that. I've become one of them. Throw one of my grenades. Then I can actually control him, and he gets a little accuracy buff. I can take out a few of their soldiers. It's obviously better because I'm controlling the dude. So yeah, I can also heal with one of the buttons I've keybinded. So very important. Keybind your mouse. That brings us on to the last step though. That's step 11. Don't quit because you're losing. That's silly. Essentially, that just means don't quit because you're losing. But I've found I learn more in the games I lose than the games I win. You're never going to figure out how to, how to come back against people, how to push, how to kind of deal with certain things if you just quit when it gets hard. So stick out your games, finish them up, and I guarantee you'll be better for it afterwards. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope some of these tips helped you guys out. Let me know if there's anything you think should be added in the comments, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.